Greetings. Welcome to another Komodo community podcast. This time we have Dr. Cetiner, professor at Marmara University in Turkey, in the engineering department. Welcome, doctor. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks very much.
Now, I just quickly wanting to know a bit about your background. What is your background?
Actually, I have my PhD in systems engineering, artificial intelligence, and then since that time, I've been working in IT area. But I'm working in industry engineering department, so I have many topics related to my background. In 2010, actually, we has said, okay, there's a problem with the banking system. So I went into this area because, you know, it is, I say this is corruption, you know, based on debt-based system. So we had paper actually with my colleague. The paper title is debt-based monetary system. Like people say fraction reserve and all other things, you know, libertarians or all people. So I made a lot of reading. I said, okay, we need to solve this problem because in industry engineering, you know, we are used to solving problems. So in 2010, I started with TV series regarding finance system, you know, global finance system. What are the bad things about this banking? They create money out of nothing and all sort of issues. Then one of the followers sent me a town story. This is anonymous on internet. Actually, you can find. So I can share that story if you want.
Sure, just one moment before, but yeah, that's great. Before you share that, so you were involved with engineering, and then you realized problems with the monetary system and what was going on for you there. Well, how did you get involved or find out about blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Mm-hmm. Actually, it was a long story because we started in 2010, but until I came, it was in 2017. You know, after 7 years. I've been into blockchain. For 7 years, actually, I was trying to find other ways. My colleague also was from somehow, you know, political area. So we started to, first of all, enlighten the people so that they can change the monetary system from the, you know, top level. And I have written so many articles, but then I said, okay, this will not be solving problems because, you know, states somehow having very, you know, close relation with the banking system. So from the top, we have no actually solution. So this was the decision. But during TV series, there was one town story. It was in 2011. Can I show that?
Yes, please. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
But yeah. I'll share the screen now. This is from the paper with JL777. You know, this is MCL. I presented this actually in the international conference. Sorry, it is not good. It should not start with this. Okay, there's a town where all people are in debt to each other within this town. And there's a customer coming to a hotel and he says, okay, I have $100 bill, so I can stay in the hotel. So people have no money in this town. They're all in debt. And customer says, okay, if I don't like the, you know, hotel, I will go out. Then he has a bargain with the hotelman. And then as soon as he gets 100 bill, because he is in debt to butcher, he goes there. He pays for his debt for 100. And then butcher is hurrying to other retailer because he's in debt to retailer. And retailer just runs to barber to pay 100 bill. And barber sometimes they go stay in the hotel. He just goes to hotel and pays for the debt. So all debt is settled to each other in the town. And once this is happening, of course, the customer comes down. He says, I don't like the hotel. Please give my money back. So he just leaves the town. So what happens here? With 100 bill, you see there's an economical, activities with $500. When I actually explained this, one of the our followers of television program said he was a businessman. Perhaps in academy you don't know this in the university because you are not paid with the post-dated checks. But in business, half of the economy in Turkey and also in other countries, of course, they believe it is only working in Turkey at that time. It is running actually with those post-dated checks and promissory notes. I invited him actually to university, and then he explained me how actually post-dated checks are running or working in Turkey. It is working in India as well, by the way. Half of the economy in also India, more than actually 600 billion USD, and in Turkey it is 300 billion USD. You know, it is actually greater, much greater than entire crypto market. I asked him how it is working, and he said, what do we do actually with the checks? We are treating the checks differently. We take the checkbook from the bank. So we write on the check a different date, in Western countries, most of them, but of course in some Western countries like Canada, post-dated checks are still working, I think. Maybe in USA, you might know, it is also working like that. In most of the West countries, even if you write a date, for example, after 1 year from this date, if you submit it to the bank, what will happen? Bank will pay for it. But it is not working like that in our countries. What happens? Just write, for example, a date to 2021. Then actually bank will not clear the account. So they will wait until that time. So what do? You write something on the check. You actually buy from someone. We call it holder, bearer of check. You write any figure on the checkbook, like 100,000 USD, 1 million USD. Of course, it is trust-based. It is if the person does not accept check from you, it will not work. So they know each other. It is a link of actually trust. So you pay with that, for example, to someone, to your friend. You buy goods and services. Of course, he cannot do anything with that check for 1 year. What happens? He just endorses at the back of check, and he actually buys something else with the same amount. Like if you have written 1 million USD, he buys, from another person that amount of goods or services. So it is actually going like that through endorsement. So it can, visit many places, many people until clearance date. For 1 year, we have many, long checks, for example. Even check, size is not, paper size is not, for example, fitting. What they do, they just attach another paper and then add the new endorsers. So it is treated exactly like money, And of course, after that, after 2012, I said, this is great because it is really a decentralized finance thing, It is a complete alternative to banking system. Although the checkbook is given by the banks, people treat that actually to create money. Same as a banking system, and there is no interest because it does not work with the interest. Why? Because, suppose I pay to you with this check for buying something, but you buy something else from another people. So there is no interest-based contract on it. It is a kind of IOU, but without any interest, and it is decentralized because people at the bottom can create money. What happened after 2012? I said, I found actually the solution. How can I solve this problem? So we tried to convince many people actually from the government side. Okay, please make the system changed. Make it like electronic checks. So banks are just providing something there, but people can create money. You need to solve the biggest problem here, because the biggest problem in this one is non-redemption. And I talked to many business people. I said, okay, what is the biggest problem? One is non-redemption. Why? Because in the clearance date, sometimes people, for example, this is trust-based. It is a link of trust-based people. It is working very well. The non-redemption rate, for example, in Turkey is around 3%. You see, defaulting in those post-dated checks only 3%, and 5% in India, for example. It's quite good, It is even figure is much better than a banking system. I said this should be solved, but okay, we said because they are involved in banking, and so they have so close relations. I completely actually, in a later stage, said, okay, we should not go and try to convince government people. So we should find a solution there. Therefore, in 2017, I wasted time until 2017. I said, okay, because about Bitcoin, I was just hearing, I read in the literature, people are complaining about, it is consuming a lot of energy and this kind of issues, because we are also, keen on, talking about ecology and other things. This is my other area, actually. So I said, there's a problem there, but we might find a solution. So in 2017, I said, okay, I decided, we have made actually several workshops in the university with academicians and business people. I said, okay, we should solve this problem, and we can only solve this in blockchain. Why? Because it is providing, you don't need to take any permission from government, from any other system, there is no central authority. So I said, we should solve this, but with the current system, we cannot solve it. First of all, I searched about the Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has, of course, smart contracts, very, limited with Turing incomplete structure. And then, of course, I did not know about Komodo at that time. And I said, okay, let us look at the smart contracts, because we need to have some kind of smart contracts to do this. I had something, algorithm in my mind, but how can we do that? I have actually established at that time some Discord groups, different Discord groups. It was not MCL at that time. Even I had mentioned to Vitalik and other people, consensus, other people, and I invited them actually to solve this problem. One of them came, actually, Jason, I think his name was Jason. He listened to us and he said, oh, and then he just left, actually. We could not find any solution. In the meantime, I was actually, looking at other solutions. Somehow, I found JL777's manifest on internet. It's about, independence of the blockchains. Oh, I said, this is what I'm looking for, because I have the same structure with multi-law, protocol. I had established actually one multi-law protocol at the time for the independence of people, without depending on any other sources like governments or something. We can find a solution. And then somehow I had written at those days, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, in 2000, I think in the beginning of 2018.
Okay.
When I was discussing in the Komodo's group, JL777, James was very interested. I am very happy, he's very, very, innovative, understanding guy, and really fantastic. He immediately, understood the working mechanism behind that. And then even there were some, I remember those days, especially from, as I said, Western countries, some people, some friends from Komodo community said, this should not work. Why? Because people just, having any figure at the beginning, you can write on the check any number, $1 million, for example. What happens after that when you don't pay for it? And then James answered instead of me. He said, "Friend, this is working, based on trust. Probably they are working. They are also drinking Turkish tea when they are actually doing agreement. This is really fantastic, working very well." So we made a lot of discussions with him. Thanks, really. He's really, a very good guy. He's ingenious, you know, in blockchain. It is very lucky of me that, you know, after 7 or 8 years, you know, I found him. And then we made long discussions. And when I look at actually the history of my private channel with him, we have more than 4 or 5 books, I think. Really, 4 or 5 books with JL. We made a lot of discussions actually for the requirements of this system. I discussed with him, and we found the solution. We first started with the token. It was me who said, okay, we will make it token, but token will not be working. Why? Because you need ICO. You know, ICO was very famous in 2018. Yeah. I said, this will not work, because you need to go to people, and because we want to solve the non-redemption problem, and you need some money, you know, to support that. But for supporting that, we had also some conferences in the university. People from Ethereum said, okay, why not we go with, you know, Ethereum, because we can make it token. I immediately understood that, you know, this should not be actually through token. We actually agreed with James. This will be based on actually a self-finance system. So it should be coming from blockchain itself. So rewarding mechanism is needed, because we have 3% of something, you know, for the non-redemption. And this might be actually happening with a block rewarding. So why not we actually change the block Bitcoin system, for example. In the Bitcoin, you know, we need a POW. Yes. And proof of work structure. We said this will not solve our problem. Why? Because we need miners with ASIC devices. But business people, ordinary business people, do not have this facility. So it should be, you know, designed somehow to work in real economy. Therefore, we said, okay, first, number one, it should be a stakeable coin. But of course, James said it should have also POW. Why? Because of you know, stability of some you know, structure with the technical knowledge. Okay, we said it should be 25% with a proof of work, but 75% will be based on staking. And we said staking should be based on the actually locked coins. So we have the idea of locked coins. At that time also, there was Verus project from Komodo Platform. I knew, you know, I had some Verus mining there, staking. In Verus, you know, you can stake only, you remember those days, you know, you could stake only if you had some unlocked coins. So there were, you know, coins coming out, but if they were locked, you cannot make any actual staking. So we said we should completely reverse this structure. So we should make it, you know, we should make staking only with, you know, we call activated coins. So in Marmara, for example, you need, if you want to do staking, you have to lock coins. We call them activation. Why? Because you need to have some collateralization to pay for the non-redemption. You need collateralization. Of course, then we had the idea of you know, credit loops, where we should have 3x staking. So we have now, for example, with the credit loops working exactly like posted checks. So it starts its journey with the issuance. A person issues the credit first. It is the issuer, and actually, when it is doing that, in the final hard fork, we have very nice feature now. We call it holder. So suppose, for example, I am buying something from you. So you are, I am creating the credit. In the first system, in protocol 1, we call it protocol 1 in version 1. In the first system, we said it should be 100% collateralized. We had, because very long discussions with James, you know, for the current system, we had so many problems. So we need to actually delay them to protocol 2, where there is no need for collateralization. So even 0% collateralization is possible for some with, you know, trust-based version. But we should not delay the project. So we decided to make it, based on 100% collateralization. So how it is working now? If we can discuss this.
Sure.
Suppose I am buying something from you. You are selling me computer, for example, and I am buying this instead of paying in cash, because it is 100% collateralization. Instead of paying as cash in MCL, I just say, okay, do you accept credit loop, Marmara Credit Loops, MCL? Okay. Like for how long? 6 months. Then I pay to you with that credit loop. Suppose it is 2000 MCL, for example. Now,
Okay.
as seller, you don't need to lock any coin. This is good, staking. This is, I think, there is no other perhaps coin, I think, in the world where people can make 3x staking, 3 times more staking without locking any coin. This happens with MCL. Why? Because you are paying already actually with your goods. Why? Because I buy some goods from you. So as issuer, I pay money to you, but it is not immediately, open. It is locked until what time? Until 6 months later, because we made the contract for 6 months.
Okay, I understand.
There is a very nice feature about this with post-dated checks, because they act as money. What happens? Now you take the credit loop, like a post-dated check. Now you don't need to wait for opening, for unlocking. So you find another friend, okay, you say, I want to buy something else from you. Now you just endorse the credit to your friend. So you become endorser and the new person becomes holder.
And
your
you
friend
do that,
becomes holder.
You do that by sending the credit loop to them.
Exactly. We have two commands. One is Marmara receive, another is Marmara transfer. But at the beginning, we start the process with Marmara receive and Marmara issue. Later, we have 1,000 nodes available. One credit loop can actually visit 1,000 nodes. So you can just circulate it to your friend. You can transfer to your friend. What happens? It is locked. You see, it is still locked. It will not open until 6 months later, but you can use that as money. But with your transfer, now what happens? Your friend and me as the issuer, we make 3x staking. So when you become endorser, you lose the right for 3x staking. Why? Because you give goods to me and you bought goods from your friend.
Right.
So it is based on 3x staking rewards for issuer and holder all the time. Holder changes when actually there is a shopping there. So it is clearly nowadays there is so many DeFi projects, decentralized finance projects. Actually, this is very nice actually year for us, I believe. For 3 years working with the Komodo structure, we invented actually a DeFi, decentralized finance application system designed to run in real economy. This is really a very good vibe, because it has also a good use case. In Turkey alone, 300 billion USD, and in for example India, it is same. Canada is same. I think people say also it works in New Zealand, I think, or in some places in Far East.
Yes.
I believe this is also working in Central Asia in many countries, but I believe this can work in any place in the world, because this is a culture.
Right.
And this culture can be actually spread to any country, any community. Now we have 100% collateralization. It is not 100% one, like in other DeFi projects. There's over collateralization, There is no under collateralization here. There is no problem of non-redemption. So the actually structure is very easy to understand. We just replaced Bitcoin's mining mechanism with the staking, where only business people in the real actually economy can make 3x staking. Suppose you change the structure of Bitcoin, it becomes, for example, Turing incomplete with the Antara framework by Komodo Platform.
Yes.
And then you just replace 75% with the proof of stake, but with the 3x, rewarding for the real business. What would happen to Bitcoin in the market? I think it would not be in the central exchanges. It will be in the there will be many pizzas to be bought in the market, I think.
I think I understand what you mean. And the idea being that you've used the Antara framework to customize the consensus and making the mining and the staking at certain ratios, and the value of the staking as well. You've tripled it. Is that, am I understanding you correctly?
Yes, exactly. And really, as I said, James is really very, innovative person. I really thank to him. Actually, he has written himself. He has developed himself the proof of concept last year, and we made the tests with my students last year in engineering department. We had more than 100 students, and in the proof of concept, we saw this is working. And with this year's students, actually, they could mine and stake in the real platform, because we have started 7, months ago. So they've been now working. Of course, we want to spread this into business. People are telling us, you might ask, for example, why, for example, don't you bother, for example, to put into central exchanges or something? Actually, I don't work for that. Of course, we will be happy if it is listed in any central exchange, but we are happy. Really, we thank to also Komodo, teams in the atomic DEX. I am happy that people actually can buy and sell in atomic DEX. Of course, we are now to put into business, real business. We are working on the, of course, tools. One is we need a proper GUI, especially to work on mobile. Why? Because suppose you are the business person where I am buying something from you.
Right, the butcher
so
or the retailer.
I come to your shop. Now, suppose I am buying a television from your market.
Okay.
I need to have actually credit loop. I need to pay with the credit loop, so I need mobile. So, for example, I need mobile, for example, with that, and we need the GUI. Of course, with the credit loops, the people can earn more. This is one thing. Also, we are working on other tools, like, of course, we cannot do it immediately, but we will, there's another project where we want to have people to have some kind of, e-commerce by using credit loops. It may be later, but before that, we will be actually doing another thing. It will not involve credit loops directly in the website, but we will have perhaps indirect way for that. So we will be explaining later, hopefully within 2 months or something. Okay. So we want to put those into business actually. Instead of
yes, okay. So it sounds like you're trying to bring this into the physical economy. For example, the local economy in Marmara at first, and then maybe expand from there. It sounds very interesting. So that brings me to a question about, you were mentioning about developing GUI. Do you have in-house development? Are you working with Komodo team for development, or how? What is that?
Of course, they are helping us also in every way. Dimitri, James is also always with us. Really, we thank to Komodo community, Tony, others, Chris, and all are helping. I am very happy that I am in Komodo community. This is fantastic team. I always tell people that, this was a big dream for us. It is very good, opportunity with the use case. But without Komodo, I always tell everyone, without Komodo, we could not do this at all.
Wow.
And this is my also, also I just say, This cannot be happening with Ethereum or any other structure, where because there is no freedom in those. Why? Because you are relying on the Ethereum structure. And I also, with that, most of the DeFi applications on Ethereum will find the good ones, of course. There are so many things like Yam, Yam project nowadays. All, I believe, will come to Komodo platform. This is my, why? Because, there is freedom here. In there are so much, transfer fees. You are depending on the Ethereum, once you have smart contract, if there's security problem, how will you change it? There is no freedom in that. So you are relying on, suppose you want to do something and you need a hard fork, for example, on Ethereum. How many different blockchains are existing on the same structure? They are all relying on Ethereum. Of course, it is not only Ethereum, other platforms where people are, or communities are tokenized. So tokenization is not good. Therefore, we had really with MCL, it will not be happen, at all without a Komodo platform. I just say that, and people in one day will understand the power of this structure, and they will come to this platform. I'm very happy with the end-to-end tools in Komodo. They are very helpful. It's a fantastic community, international. This is a global, community where there are so many independent communities working together.
This is interesting that you're mentioning it this way. It does sound like a very powerful structure that is built out through Komodo, and that's something that drew me in as well, was this sense of freedom in building and being creative and deploying, and without needing to be tied to any specific chain. You get your own independent chain. So right now, Marmara Credit Loops is its own independent chain, and you just mentioned you were praising the Antara tool, the Antara tools. Is that what you were praising?
Yes, exactly. It is independent chain, and we don't rely on Komodo. Of course, that doesn't mean we are in Komodo ecosystem. Without Komodo, we don't do anything. Because this is fantastic. We are happy because I always tell my students, with our knowledge, existing knowledge on blockchain, all others, IT structure, everything, we could not achieve this, without Komodo, really. And this will be just dream for me if there was no Komodo structure, Komodo technology. So this happened, and
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's interesting. You say that, but what are you say? You believe what?
Yeah, I believe, without Komodo, technologies, this project, I think it could be, perhaps there will be some project, but it will not be like this. This is a natural project. Yeah, with a coin,
yeah, it wouldn't be as powerful
chain.
And yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing that comes to me as an outside observer is that without your project, the power and potential of Komodo platform ecosystem would not be realized either. So because of your dreams and your ideas and finding Komodo and working with James on this project, you are also demonstrating the value and the worth and the potential of the Komodo platform.
Exactly. And I always tell that, some people say, they're saying, what is the DeFi application, by Komodo platform? I really tell them, can you just tell me one DeFi application which is designed to run in real economy? They are just all, some kind of replication. I am sorry to say that, but most of them, let me say, most of them are copy of, corrupt banking system. Is it true or not?
Huh? Yeah, I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. And I agree that there's such an importance in making it real and realizable in a real economy that involves people and involves goods and services, and it involves the way that the economy runs naturally. Now you're just taking that and you had mentioned that the post-dated checks and promissory note style of payments and credit issuance was to you, it was like an analog chain where you would just pass the paper along and it was verified by the endorsers. But now you are having it digitized on the blockchain, and now you can make it trustless. You mentioned the longer the chain is, the more trustless it becomes. In the analog version, in the paper version, it becomes like a trustless chain because somebody might have verified the check from the first issuer to the first holder, but then when that holder endorses it and then it gets endorsed, you might have 10 or 15 people down the line, they have no idea who the issuer is to begin with.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Actually, in trustless version, this idea happened in the community. This was great. We were working actually on the trust-based version on the blockchain. We had so many issues that with the oracles, for example. We worked on that. We discussed a lot with James. When we presented the trustless version, he said, "Oh, this will be perfect." He just said, "Okay, I will just code this during weekend." In 2 days, James was not there. He was offline, and then when he came after 2 days, he said, "Okay, I coded it," and then I said to students, "Okay, we have the code already, so let us now try to understand how you set up Komodo." This is fantastic. Let me say something. In education system, look at the universities, even in computer engineering departments. How many people can set up their own blockchains? How many? They will just set up blockchain and they will have mining, staking, or something, some kind of thing. Of course, they will do complex business rules with the credit loops. Endorsement, for example, issuing a credit, making endorsement many times, and then they will wait for the settlement. So, first year students this year, more than 100 students, they were very crazy at the beginning. They said, "What is this, professor, what are you doing to us?" I gave this as an assignment to make credit loops. And then they just flood into Komodo Discord group, or most of them to MCL, Marmara Discord group. They were asking, so many questions to, like, Tony, for example, other people, Dimixi. So they were very helpful from Komodo community. And I have very nice, actually, reflections from them. I will ask their permission, and then I will share with the actual community. This is really wonderful. Many of them say, at the beginning, we said, this is a terrible world. How should we do this assignment? But later, they all, learned how to do that. And some of the students actually made selling in our Discord to Russia, for example, to Singapore, to many different places. Like they had some artworks, they had some, things to sell. They are selling many things in the many stuff. So we have only not pizza for 10 bitcoins. There is a story. We have so many things sold already. Why? Because this is really working best in the real economy. But of course, people do not know it, and we don't have GUI tools at the moment to make it easy. But once we have this known by many people, I think they will flood into this. I am happy with the pirate prices recently. I tell the people, you see, there are 160 million, coins. Pirate is a good project, it is the most privacy, and it is by Komodo Platform. I tell them, they say, "Okay, professor, when do you expect this MCL to appear, in central exchanges or something?" I just tell them, you just go to market, to your shop, and you just tell them, because I just make it. People around me, they say, "Okay, when do you have credit loops on the mobile?" Because I just install them, show them how to install Atomic DEX, because they ask, "Okay, how can we show it? How can we get it?" And they see, we don't have any bank account to take permission. Yeah, you just take the, Atomic DEX, download it, install it, and then I send them some MCL, and then they send me back, oh, it is so fast. You know, yesterday on television program, we demonstrated that. Thanks to Tony, he sent some MCL from, you know, Russia, Siberia, and we sent him something. It was fantastic. We have very positive feedbacks. They said, oh,
Great.
Komodo is very fast. This is really very good. And with the credit loops, of course, in the market, with the GUI and other tools, I believe this is a good investment. I tell people, you know, they say this is not the advice for investment. I tell them this is advice for investment, but you don't need to spend any single coin to make investment. What do you do? You just say, okay, you have something second-hand products in your house that you don't use. Okay, you just sell them with the credit loops, because without logging any single coin, when you actually sell some items, you have right for 3x staking.
Okay,
you see,
that's a good way. So instead of investing, you're saying to earn it.
Yeah,
and that's
you don't need to invest, you know, in that. But of course, I believe in at the end, this is a good investment. I tell people to make their investment on the decentralization, because the world is going there.
Yeah.
You know, and we should make this as an advice. No problem. Of course, we may lose. You know, there's always risk with the investments. But I always say I am making my investment on the decentralization.
I see what you mean, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're putting your money and your intentions towards decentralization.
Exactly. And I find this soul actually with the Komodo. Of course, it is due to also Jamie's his manifestation about freedom, independence of blockchains. This was fantastic. You know, I just tell people for a blockchain, so you want to have a blockchain, decide which blockchain to invest. You just read, James's document on Bitcoin Talk. It's about independence, declaration of independence for blockchains. This should be actually the future, because Komodo actually is the best for me. Why? Because they are providing, the Komodo community is providing end-to-end tools for decentralization. This is what I actually want to invest.
Correct. I see what you mean. And it's interesting that it's not very well known, but that really Komodo Platform is offering the tools and building out the offerings that you, like, for example, your Marmara Credit Loops and Atomic Dex, that is creating the infrastructure for the decentralized finance, and that is really, it's very valuable.
Exactly. Actually, I will just tell you something about, to give idea of what kind of things we have discussed with James. You know, in one of the discussions, because, this post-dated checks in Turkey, in India, for example, in many countries, they're so actually big in volume. You know, it is really very big with the volume. We talked about actually the volume, the size of the post-dated checks, because it is in billions.
You mentioned 300 billion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 300 billion. And also now in Turkey, there's a divisibility problem, because, for a check, for a real analog, check on the paper, you need to pay for 2,500 Turkish liras. To whom? To bank as blockage. Therefore, it is not practical to write a check, to create a credit loop, for example, lower than 2,500 as the blockage value.
Okay.
Therefore, people just write like 10,000 Turkish liras, 20,000, 100,000. They cannot, break them into smaller pieces.
Indivisible.
We have discussed with James whether we should have three structures, so that we can have a check divisible to many components. Then we found a practical solution. We said we should not need that. We don't need to make it very complex. Why? Because in our Marmara Credit Loops, we can create a credit loop with even one MCL.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Right.
Because you are not limited to that amount, bank blockage. And therefore, our system actually have taken into consideration all business structures, what is happening with, post-dated checks in India, for example, in Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and many, I can say, Middle Eastern countries, in Central Asia, and in many, in Western countries. Even it will work, I guess it will work in those countries because it is fantastic. It is using blockchain technology, trustless, version 1 is trustless. And with the version 2, it is money creation. We deliberately delayed that trust-based version to next year. Why? Because this should be, first of all, spread into communities. And we discussed with James, if there are so many, because it is it can be in very small amounts for the credit loops. How can we have this scalability problem? We have discussed scalability problem a lot with James.
Okay.
He said, no problem. In Komodo, there is a structure called clustering. You can have many parallel chains.
Yeah.
Who have this? Who has this one?
Not many, if any.
On Ethereum, you will have your own different scalable parallel chains. It will, and actually, Vitalik himself says, that for Udemy or for other, there were a car company. What was that? It was actually sacked from Turkey. Uber, for example. Okay. Uber kind of data or some kind of data. Suppose you are putting all the data on Ethereum. Do you think it will work? There, just telling everyone, inviting everyone, okay, you come to Ethereum. Of course, Ethereum is just as an example. That I talked about the blockchains which make other communities depending on themselves.
This so they're dependent on the parent. They're dependent on the parent chain. They're tied to the parent chain.
Exactly. And Komodo actually has found a very, very good way actually, and this is actually the vision of James. This is wonderful, and this is what attracted me to Komodo. With this structure, actually, it is completely freedom.
And you're able to
I would not be on Ethereum personally, even if they allow me to have staking or mining or something on the same chain.
You're able you're with the Marmara Credit Loop chain. You're able to actually create your own independent parallel chains.
Exactly.
And then you can cluster those and scale in that way.
Exactly. This is what we talked with James Dimixi. So it is scalable, and we can have many parallel chains, for example, with the structure. This is already available in Komodo.
So Dr. Cetiner,
also there were tests. 1 million tests was achieved, I think, 2 years ago. I remember that. For scalability issue.
Okay. So for Marmara, you for Marmara or just specifically Komodo?
For Komodo.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Komodo did this one with parallel chains. They made a TPS nearly as much as Visa, I think.
I remember something like that. And I don't know the number, but I do, and I know that Komodo doesn't make claims that they haven't tested or worked through yet. So when they say that they have near infinite scaling, let's say, this is an accurate statement based on the principles of their technology and how they can deploy the technology. Is that how you understand it?
Yes, they have also, in Komodo, there is no false promise or something, blank promise, because there's, I know with the parallel chains, there was testing in Komodo Platform. They tested, and I know from the team, I think 2 years ago, with the parallel chains and clustering, there's no problem with the, scalability. This is the thing. People should be actually aware of this. So even billions of transactions, billions of transactions may be handled within Komodo.
It's amazing how difficult it is to raise that awareness sometimes. I remember just the other day reading from somebody who came in to the Discord and mentioned, is it true that there's a DEX, a decentralized exchange from Komodo that is multi-coin atomic swap? Because I've never heard of this before. And they were very interested in that fact. So it's coming though, I think, as things start to get built out and tested better and better, and then eventually we'll be ready. It's a slow organic growth, but it seems like it's working the way that it is best to work, rather than getting people's hopes up for something that might not be ready for them yet in a certain way. Now you mentioned, okay, going back to the credit loops, you mentioned the non-redemption problem and how Marmara Credit Loop solves that. You mentioned the indivisibility problem and how you can make smaller amounts based with Marmara Credit Loops. And also MCL, obviously, it seems, solves the counterfeiting problem, because you can't really counterfeit MCL.
Exactly. The counterfeiting feiting is very big problem, because it is on paper. People can copy easily. And also with the endorsers, there's another problem. Suppose, for example, it is trust-based, because you just write on the paper, they find a small place, so they just put a name there for a trustful person, like a very big company in Turkey. They just put it there. So when you see actually the name of a very trustful company, that you just take that without hesitation. So there's so many counterfeiting problems, but with this, credit loops, everything is on the blockchain. There's no problem. So trustless version is working very well. I am very happy with that. Of course, we just need to see now many people using in real economy.
Great.
This is what we like actually to see. I hope in the future. So I urge all Komodo community. This is actually an invitation to all Komodo community. Even in Komodo side, Komodo Discord group, not in Marmara group. No, in Marmara group we have shopping group, shopping Turkish, shop English, auctions. I just urge people to make use of these credit loops during actually a real economy. So it might be, I just invite people, just buy and sell something, and try to make your credit loops within real economy. Not because people can just make 3x staking just by saying that, okay, I am the issuer and I am at the same time I have two, for example, wallets, and one wallet is issuer and another wallet is holder. So I can just make 3x staking for myself. But this is, of course, you can do that as a true miner or staker. But what I suggest is actually to make use of it in real economy.
Now, if somebody, so if somebody wants to acquire the MCL in order to use it in the real economy, if they want to accept it or if they want to issue it or trade it, they would have to go to Atomic Dex in order to get some. Is that currently the place to get it, or how else?
In Atomic Dex, I think because it is a very general, generic purpose, we will be very happy, of course, if credit loops are supported in Atomic Dex, but it is actually very specific to Marmara Credit Loops. But if, let me say, this is my actually friend suggestion. If there will, of course, this will be very difficult. But if there was a section in MCL part, for example, in Atomic Dex, to make credit loops, let me tell you something. There will be thousands of people who will be using Atomic Dex in real economy. So Atomic Dex will be really Atomic DeFi. Really Atomic DeFi to use because we are struggling now to put credit loops onto mobile platform. But of course, I think for that, I don't know. We need to contact to Dimitri, James, for example. They might tell us, I think you need to install a native chain, because there's no need for native chain on mobile, and it is also a problem, I think, to have, native chains on the mobile. It is not perhaps possible. I don't say possible, but it is not practical. It is not practical.
I can see. Do you think that there will be phones coming out where with enabling native chains on a phone, for example, a blockchain phone that you can you can load up the native chain?
Actually, we are trying to find some indirect ways, working on mobile, applications,
Okay.
to make credit loops. Actually, I just tell people to make it, as much as actually user friendly and also Komodo friendly. I tell them it should be Komodo friendly. What is Komodo friendly? It should be open source and should be shared with Komodo community, because there is really very good treasure in there with the people, with the talents. So let us make it something, and then put into Komodo community, and I believe there will be people who will help us in this matter, because this is solving really very good problem, and Komodo is very good at solving problems, not like other blockchains.
Tell me then. Tell me in Marmara now, where you are around your university. Is MCL ready to be used on a day-to-day basis as credit loops throughout that local community, that local region, or is there still work that needs to be done before it's really ready for? You mentioned GUI. Is that the only thing, or?
Yes, we need actually GUI. It is needed for making think of not technical geeks. They are ordinary shopkeepers.
Right.
They don't even, most of them have no idea about blockchain. Even they don't know what is cryptocurrency, for example. If there is any relation with blockchain or something. So you should give them very easy to use tools. With that, they need to understand that they can earn something from the blockchain when they're actually making their shopping with that tool. So one part is GUI part is related to mining and staking, not mining, staking, because mining is only 25% and they don't have ASIC device or something. So we just forget about that.
And also for sending and receiving, right? For sending and receiving.
70% is for credit loops. Yeah, 3x staking. 75% is staking, and half of the blocks, by the way, come as activated, locked, and the other half comes as normal. So most of the actually coins are locked either in activated funds or locked in credit loop funds. So another application, mobile application, should allow them to make credit loops while they are mobile, because when I am buying something as issuer, I must have a credit loop to be issued by me. So you are the, for example, shopkeeper. When I'm buying something from you, you are the market owner. I should pay with the credit loop. I cannot carry with me my PC. So even GUI will not solve the credit loop problem. That is why we should have mobiles, applications to handle the credit loop. This is a must.
Okay.
That is why I cannot actually spread it. If there is one tool really very easy to use, I will just go there and I will make a campaign, in the corner of university or in the square near the university, and just tell the students, okay, just give, for example, 10 MCL to those people and have to make credit loops. Give as free money.
Yeah.
It may be on free money day. It is on 15th September.
Oh.
Yes, there is a free money day.
Oh, wow.
On
Okay.
15th September. It is celebrated, because of what was it? In 2008 crisis, there was something. There were some big companies. They were calling too big to fail.
Yeah.
Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers. It is celebrated for that day. Lehman Brothers actually collapsed that day. So they give free money to people. I tell them, okay, if there is GUI application or mobile, I will just make the campaign in the university free money day. We are following each other with that moment.
Well, September 15 is coming soon. Yeah.
It's very soon. I don't think we can, have it this year. But anyway, we can create another day. By the way, it is just day. We
Sure.
can
Free
celebrate
credit
it
loops.
for the starting day of Marmara. That's
Sure.
in
Okay. Well,
January.
look, I think that this has been a very enlightening conversation for me, and I hope
Thank
for
you very much.
others as well. You've covered basically everything I would have wanted to ask and more. Is there any last thing that you want to share with us, say for us?
Thanks very much. By the way, I lost a lot from my English with the pronunciation and everything because I've come back from abroad long time ago. For my poor English, please, all the audience,
Oh, no
forgive
worries.
me.
You're forgiven. No
Yeah.
worries. You're forgiven.
Okay.
No worries. This is truly, we deal with international and we use English, and that's, I'm glad that you're able to speak English as well as you are to share all of these great informations with us. And I hope everybody really enjoyed this conversation and got something out of it. And if you have any desire to help out with Marmara Chain, you can reach Dr. Cetiner in the Komodo Discord. There's a Marmara channel, or you can tag him directly. I think that's it for now. I really thank you again.
Thank you very much for
thanks for
giving
taking
this
your time.
opportunity. Thanks. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Okay, and I will talk to you soon, and take care. And bye, everyone else.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
and we will talk again soon. Okay, bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.